We all know that Luffy's decision to become a pirate was inspired by Shanks the red-haired. However, instead of joining his idol, Luffy decided to form his own crew. Now, what if Luffy joined Shanks instead of forming his own crew? How will that impact the storyline? Well, you guys don't have to worry about a single thing, because we've got you covered. Sit tight, or maybe grab some popcorn because you wouldn't want to miss out on any of these alternate scenarios. In the first scenario, we'll consider that Luffy eats the Gomu Gomu no Mi and joins Shanks right from the beginning instead of aspiring to start on his own. Shanks' deep bond with Luffy leads him to take the young boy under his wing after seeing Luffy's determination and potential. Leaving Fuchsia Village, Luffy embarks on a journey across the seas with the red-haired pirates, absorbing their experiences and learning the intricacies of piracy. Luffy's growth quickens as he sails alongside experienced pirates. Under the guidance of Shanks and the seasoned crew members, he gains skills in combat, navigation, and learns the importance of friendship and teamwork. Since Shanks' entire crew doesn't have a single Devil Fruit user, all of them rely on haki. Considering this, Luffy will also become adept at haki from a younger age, and with Shanks teaching him, you can already assume that he'll become pretty overpowered. Since Luffy now sails with the red-haired pirates, he doesn't form his own Straw Hat crew. Instead, important characters like Zoro, Nami, and Sanji either join different crews or pursue their own paths. Despite this, there's a huge possibility that Luffy might cross paths with them and influence them. Sailing under Shanks' flag allows Luffy to participate in high-profile clashes with rival Yonko crews and the world government. His presence in these conflicts built his reputation far earlier. The stories of battles with figures like Kaido and Big Mom might happen with Shanks' entire crew. Furthermore, Luffy's mastery of his Devil Fruit abilities advances more quickly in this situation. Shanks, who formerly knew about the Gomu Gomu fruit, which conceals its full potential as the mythological Zoan kind, assists Luffy in understanding its special abilities. This instruction accelerates Luffy's understanding of the fruit's power, giving him advanced tactics and assisting him in creatively harnessing its potential. The emphasis on training and supervision guarantees that Luffy develops not only as a combatant, but also as a leader. Luffy learns a lot of things from Shanks, including political leadership and decision-making. Since he was inspired by Shanks to become a pirate, he respects him deeply and will do anything for him. Shanks also trusts him, as Luffy will soon become his right-hand man. He also knows just how important Luffy is for this world and will protect him at any cost. As they approach Raftel, Luffy has become a crucial part of Shanks' team, using his Devil Fruit abilities to face powerful enemies. The search for the One Piece becomes a shared mission, with Luffy maturing into a strong leader who helps take on the final battles against the world government. Together with Shanks, he becomes an important part of reshaping the world and continuing the will passed down from Roger's era. In the previous scenario, we assumed that Luffy had his Devil Fruit abilities, but in this one, things are slightly different. In this scenario, Luffy does not eat the Gomu Gomu no Mi and joins the red-haired pirates as a normal human. Luffy grows up in Fuchsia Village, much like in the original timeline, but instead of the iconic scene where he eats the Gomu Gomu no Mi, he simply idolizes Shanks and his crew. Shanks and his crew visit Fuchsia Village often, and they treat Luffy like a younger sibling. Shanks notices Luffy's passion and his insane spirit and decides to teach him the way of the sword and hand-to-hand combat. Now this is where things deviate from the original timeline, as Luffy decides to join Shanks' crew instead of forming his own. Instead of meeting Zoro and recruiting him later, Luffy begins his pirate journey with Shanks' crew. He becomes close friends with the red-haired pirates, specifically Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo, who take Luffy under their wing. Luffy's goal is still to become the Pirate King, and now it's more about earning respect through his strength, not the power of a Devil Fruit. Luffy's fighting style is centered on speed and unpredictable movements, and his combat skills improve over time, particularly when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Since he lacks his Devil Fruit abilities, Luffy focuses on haki, and with an array of haki users nearby, including Shanks and the others, he quickly establishes himself as a formidable opponent. Despite having a distinct set of skills, Luffy and his crew encounter the same difficulties as the original timeline as they traverse the Grand Line. Luffy's determination and extraordinary physical prowess are his main assets. To confront his opponents, he employs a combination of improvisation, haki, and hand-to-hand fighting. Without the Gomu Gomu no Mi, he learns to rely more on teamwork and strategy, often outsmarting foes who are stronger or more powerful. Even without his rubber powers, Luffy fights powerful enemies using his haki and improving combat skills. Instead of gear 2nd or gear 4th, he pushes his strength, speed, and stamina to new heights, relying on pure physical power. Shanks' influence on Luffy is much stronger in this version. Luffy admires Shanks not only for his strength, but also for his ability to unite people. Their bond is closer, with Shanks acting as a mentor and older brother, teaching Luffy about friendship, leadership, and responsibility. I believe that Luffy will eventually become the Pirate King, but his path will be filled with greater trials, since he no longer possesses the power of the Gomu Gomu no Mi. However, just like Shanks or Goldie Roger, Luffy will gain something far stronger than a Devil Fruit and take on the world. In the previous two scenarios, we discussed how Luffy joined Shanks right from the beginning. However, in this scenario, Luffy decides to form his own crew and set sail. The story proceeds just like the original timeline, where Luffy recruits Zoro, Nami, and the others. They enter enter the Grand Line and face many foes that make them stronger, and develop their bond. Eventually, Luffy receives news that Ace is getting executed by the world government, and his entire world turns upside down. He ventures to Marineford to save his brother, but just like the original timeline, Ace loses his life right in front of Luffy. In the original timeline, Luffy managed to overcome this loss and didn't lose sight of his goal. However, in this timeline, things are different. Luffy seeks vengeance from the world government and the Marines. He's lost sight of his goal to become the Pirate King, and just wants revenge. He decides to abandon the Straw Hats and leaves them behind. Zoro and the others try to convince him, but filled with rage, Luffy refuses to listen to them. After wandering around aimlessly for some time, he decides to join the red-haired pirates, because Shanks is the only person who can make him stronger. Luffy, broken and lost, approaches Shanks, and pleads with him to help him get revenge on the Marines, particularly Admiral Akainu, who ordered Ace's execution. Shanks, seeing the deep pain in Luffy's eyes, knows this is a critical moment. He's seen firsthand how Luffy's will has always been the driving force behind his adventures, and he understands the consequences of allowing that will to turn into blind rage. Shanks is reluctant at first, knowing the path of vengeance often leads to destruction, but he can't turn his back on the boy he once swore to protect. After a long conversation with Luffy, Shanks decides to take him under his wing, but not to help him blindly seek vengeance. Instead, he offers Luffy a chance to join the red-haired pirates and train under him. Shanks believes that Luffy still has the potential to become a great pirate, and he needs guidance to ensure his pursuit of revenge doesn't consume him entirely. Following all this, Luffy joins Shanks' crew, but instead of the carefree, fun-loving boy he once was, he becomes focused and driven by a single goal: to destroy the Marines and avenge Ace's death. His rage consumes him, and Shanks takes him under his wing to guide him, warning him that vengeance alone won't bring peace. Shanks trains Luffy, refining his combat skills and teaching him leadership, but Luffy struggles to control his anger. He keeps honing his skills and becomes insanely overpowered. The red-haired pirates watch as Luffy becomes more intense, and Shanks fears that the pursuit of vengeance is pushing Luffy toward darkness. Luffy, still with the power of the Gomu Gomu no Mi, targets marine strongholds, aiming to weaken the world government. But his true goal remains to confront Admiral Akainu, the man who killed Ace. Shanks tries to restrain him, knowing that a direct confrontation could lead to disaster. Luffy disregards Shanks' concern, determined to go after Akainu at Marineford, believing it will give him closure. The red-haired pirates sail toward the New World, with Luffy leading the charge. The tension between Luffy and Shanks grows, as Shanks fears Luffy's obsession could lead him down the same dark path as Blackbeard. The stage is set for a final confrontation, where Luffy must choose between revenge and the lessons Shanks has tried to instill in him. Upon reaching the Grand Line, Luffy crosses paths with Akainu, the guy who killed his elder brother. Luffy is mocked by Akainu, who calls him a weakling and someone who cannot even control his own emotions. He further asserts that his desire for revenge will only lead to destruction. Luffy, however, refuses to listen to him and keeps attacking Akainu. In a moment of clarity, Luffy realizes that revenge alone will not bring Ace back. It's not the path Ace would have wanted him to follow. At this point, he decides to stop seeking vengeance. Even though he still wants justice, Luffy realizes that his path of hatred will only lead to destruction. With the battle over, Luffy realizes that his true purpose lies not in revenge, but in continuing Ace's dream of freedom and adventure. He decides to rebuild his crew, honor Ace's memory, and pursue a new goal: becoming a pirate who will bring hope and freedom to the world, not through destruction, but through forging his own path. Shanks truly supports Luffy's decision, and after this, Luffy apologizes to all his comrades, including Zoro and the others. He reforms his crew and sets sail into the Grand Line once again. That's it! What did you think about these theories? In the meantime, click on this other cool anime video that's appearing on your screen. Go ahead, click it!